All right, welcome back to First Draft. He is Mel Kiper Jr. I am Field Yates. Check us out over on the NFL and ESPN YouTube channel. And Mel, the tight end class this year looks really, really good. But we got to start at the top with two Big Ten guys who have been Big Ten tight ends the entirety of their career. With all due respect to some of these guys like Terrence Ferguson, who played there one season because Oregon changed conferences, Tyler Warren from Penn State, Mel, might have been the most fun player for me to watch during this entire last college football season. What do you make of him?
You never knew what he'd be doing, Field. I mean, he was wearing a lot of hats in that offense this year. He was a quarterback in high school, to lefty, and he was under, in a shotgun, a wildcat. He's doing everything. They're moving him all over the place very creatively. He's throwing passes. He's running the football like a fullback, like Kyle Juszczyk, and it's a big kid. You don't realize how big he is when he's wearing that number 44. But 104 of his 153 career receptions came this year. They did a great job, and Drew Howard knew that, hey, this is my guy. Remember, they weren't star-studded on the outside, right? They had the two outstanding running backs, kind of a new look line up front that did a good job and really progressed. But Howard to Warren, and Warren just doing so many things creatively, is the reason why I gave him the nod all year as my number one tight end, with Colston Loveland a little banged up. Maybe that second tight end, who's really good, by the way. Colston Loveland's a really good player. And there's a couple other guys as well that are good. So this tight end group, that H-back group, if you want to even flip them over into that H-back situation, really strong, Field, this year. You're going to get some really good pass receiving options well into day three.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll talk more about Colston Loveland in just a minute. Tyler Warren, for me and you, checks in around, you have at number 13 in terms of your overall big board. I'm a little bit higher here, Mel, and part of that's reflective of this class, right? There's not the same caliber of players at the very top of the board compared to last year, but I do think that Warren could go in the first 10 or 15 or so picks. I don't know if Tyler Warren will run a 40 Mel during the pre-draft process. My guess is that he might not, because I don't think he's going to run this 4.4 time or 4.5 time. He might be a little slower than that. I'm not sure it matters. I really do think this might have been the best run after catch player when you combine all attributes that go into that in the entire FBS landscape not named Ashton Genty. This guy's powerful. He is determined. He's fearless. He runs through tackles. He runs through face smash. This guy is incredibly tough. He will go very, very high. Just a darn good football player. Don't overthink it here with Tyler Warren, who, by the way, in Mel's last mock, went to the Colts at 14th overall. All right, so you mentioned Colston Loveland. This question comes from WarrenBurner44, might be a lacrosse fan over on Twitter, who wants to know, what are the chances that either Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland make it to pick 22 for the Los Angeles Chargers? And Mel, who did Colston Loveland play the first couple of years of his college football career for?
That would be Coach Harbaugh. And I think when you look at what they did last year, remember, they took Joe Alt and they passed on Brock Bowers. And one of my mocks, I had Brock Bowers going to the Chargers, thinking, hey, this is going to be the guy. The Harbaughs have always been big into the tight ends. John Harbaugh here in the Baltimore with the Ravens. Jim Harbaugh certainly with the Michigan Wolverines. And Colston Loveland missed some time late in the year. And they didn't even have the quarterback this year, right? They had the quarterback play was down from what it had been with JJ, right? But he had more catches. But his average per catch was down significantly because of the quarterback situation there at Michigan was an issue, was a problem. But with JJ, he was the guy. His speed, his ability to stretch the field, run after the catch. You talked about that, Field. Colston Loveland, will he be there? I'm a little iffy on that. I mean, he could possibly. Remember last year what happened? This is why Brock Bowers got to 13, when he was much more highly rated. And for me, I am way, way up there as one of the top players in the draft last year. Well, guess what? 6 quarterbacks got forced up ahead of Brock Bowers. Yep. 6 of them. 3 offensive tackles went, and the 3 big-time wide receivers went, right? That's your 12. 6 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, 3 offensive tackles. Brock Bowers is there at 13. The Raiders don't get the quarterback. Oh, I'm so disappointed, but we get this great Dave Casper, another tight end, great tight end for the Raiders, right?
Yeah.
Well, now go get a quarterback, and maybe you won't be, she's still crying the blues over the fact you didn't get the quarterback last year, but you got Brock Bowers. You get a quarterback with Brock, you got a heck of a thing going on with the Raiders, and that's going to be the challenge there with Pete Carroll and company. But certainly, I think when you look at Warren and Loveland aren't Brock Bowers. okay? But in this draft, you're right. They're going to get pushed up a bit, and there's several teams that, like I said, the Colts being one of them. The Colts, I think, will get one of these tight ends. Will Loveland be there for the Chargers, or will the Chargers move up to get Loveland? Yep. Okay? Somebody may be aggressive and go up and get him. That could be certainly Jim Harbaugh.
So to give people some perspective, and I understand that comparing these two prospects to these two NFL legends is ridiculous in some ways, but we're still doing it just to give you an idea of shades, of traces of these players. Stylistically, almost think of Tyler Warren sort of like Rob Gronkowski and Colston Loveland more like Travis Kelce, because I don't think these guys are going to be in the exact same order in every single draft room in the entire NFL. There's going to be some teams that say we think Loveland's a better player, some that think Warren is a better player. It's just stylistically a little bit different. The athlete of Colston Loveland is extremely hard to ignore. Meanwhile, the powerful, ferocious blocker that Tyler Warren, on top of all the run-after-catch skill, also very difficult to ignore. I'm going to give one more name because we have just a couple more minutes here on the tight ends, Mel, because there's a spirited conversation for tight end 3. Elijah Arroyo from Miami could be in the conversation. But I think there's a chance that it's Mason Taylor when it's all said and done, out of LSU, who had his best season as a collegiate this past year for LSU. No surprise with no Brian Thomas Jr. and, of course, Malik Neighbors. He got more opportunity. He had 55 catches. He had a pair of touchdowns as well. He does have rare, and I'm talking rare pedigree here, does Mason Taylor. He's the son of Jason Taylor, Pro Football Hall of Famer, who was down at the Senior Bowl last week. This kid's a house, Mel. This kid is huge. Very natural catcher of the football, and he can hold his own as a blocker as well at 250, maybe even a little bit more than that in terms of overall weight. Mason Taylor probably won't go in the first round, Mel. This guy's got the chance to be a starting tight end, though, as a rookie and play a lot of good football.
Yeah, you look at his career, it was steady. 2 years with Jaden Daniels, a year with Garrett Nussmeier. 3 catches to 8 catches. That's what you could expect in just about every game he played, certainly this past year. He was out there, reliable, consistent, right? But Elijah Arroyo, Miami, that's kind of the guy right now because he is gifted. He's talented. Most of his catches came this year with Cam Ward. It's going to be fun to see. I think Arroyo could maybe sneak up there. I think he's going to gain a lot of momentum, but certainly Mason Taylor, I think you know what you're getting. Like I say, very steady, reliable. It's a safe pick in that second, third round area.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He is a very, very good player. Elijah Arroyo, who I mentioned from Miami. How's this for his last season? 16.9 yards per catch. This guy is a big play waiting to happen. The athleticism was off the charts this past week at the Senior Bowl. For Arroyo, has been bothered at times by health during his college career. The talent, very apparent. And by the way, we did not even discuss the likes of Harold Fannin and Jake Brenningstool from Bowling Green and Clemson, respectively. There is a ton of depth at tight end this season. But coming up in just a bit, we're going to dive into the Senior Bowl because it was a great week down there in Mobile, Alabama. So stick around here on First Draft. We'll dive into our takeaways from Mobile next.